As we continue to take you above and beyond, this is New Era TT Radio. As we enter into this brand new space, a new hour, of course, this is where we are going to be exploring Buddhist concepts as we talk with Cassie Senghor on a Thursday at around this time. Cassie, good morning to you. How are you this morning?
I'm very well indeed. Good morning, Sir Charles, and good morning to the listeners wherever you are.
Happy to have you inside for another session. Cassie, I trust that you had a good week.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. Yeah. Last week we had Serene. She has gone back, or maybe gone to another place on the planet, to continue a beautiful work of teaching folks about what we call the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha and that kind of thing. And last week we had her on, and that was the 1st of May, and she left, I think it was on Sunday. We ended the program last week with a meditation. As you know, you always inspire or bring to mind things that we should do, in your, when you speak. When I listen to you on the radio, you always bring to mind, well, you sort of give a direction. Well, I just want to say this. A while ago, you mentioned about going above and beyond. That might sound a bit distant, because it's Buddhism, which people hardly know anything about. It may sound a bit unconnected from everything else. But I just want you, well, you might know to a certain extent, but listeners ought to know that I'm a radio person, and I do listen to radio quite regularly, often, and I listen to Sir Charles's program, from maybe around 7:50. Well, the breakfast show up from around 7:15, right through. So I listen to Garth, I listen to Steve, I listen to brilliant Tony Fraser. I listen to all the folks who are guests on Tony Fraser's program, etc., etc. So when we are talking about exploring Buddhist concepts, I do not want folks to think for a minute, for a moment even, that this is unconnected to regular living. As a matter of fact, it is greatly encouraged then that we, especially we as lay persons, live an ordinary life. We don't walk with our noses up in the air. We don't wear any kind of robes. Those are for the folks in monasteries and in the nunneries. We don't, carry around symbols, you're wearing this or that on your chest or on your hands or anything like that. And many practitioners are persons engaged in regular daily living. I just want to stress that, so that we don't go above and beyond and feel that, we're walking in the sky and, we're better than a lot of people, and, we know this and they don't know that. And if that was the case, then Buddhism would have no meaning at all. It would just be another one of those things which, you could kind of discard. But this is not the case with Buddhism. as I think I mentioned in one of the last 4 meetings, if you have to fill out a form, and instead of they saying religion, they said way of life, what would you put down? Well, I certainly would put down Buddhism, because that, to me, that is the way of life, and that is the way I choose to, with the tenets of Buddhism, that is the way I choose to live. And this is not at all disjointed with the other things that I do. To me, I love to, there are many things I do, let me put it like that. There are many things I do. And I have many friends and colleagues, and I have been in many groups, and I've led national groups, and that sort of thing. And these things are not above and beyond me at all, at any time. Even now I am obviously associated with different groups of people, especially in the field of writing and so on, because I write is one of the things I do. And I am called, and I can call myself a poet. I have 3 books out there, and I'm looking to have more. I love African drumming. I have grandsons in particular, who you can call master drummers, that sort of thing. I have children, and I have grandchildren. So above and beyond is not at all what it is all about, where lay people are concerned. The other persons with whom we sit on a weekly basis, or whenever we have retreats or talks or whatever we have as a group, are all lay folk who do their thing as some professionals, psychologists, vets, lawyers, teachers, nurses, office workers, regular folk. But they have chosen this way of life, which we call Buddhism, and practice it in their daily lives. We left off last week with a sitting, what we would call a sitting, again inspired by Sir Charles, who said on the 3rd program, that when he sits down to meditate, which is a word that people use regularly, which has come into vogue, as it were, the word meditation, people have all kinds of ideas about what it is, what it does, etc., etc. But the program that I am on here, which is called Exploring Buddhist Concepts, is not going to be confined to the esoteric and the intellectual and that sort of thing. Because without practice, without doing something, we will get nowhere along the continuum of life. It was so pleasant just now to hear Sir Charles talking about the programs in Brazil. Now, Brazil has the largest number of African people outside of the African continent, and they have their own challenges. They have, I think they are called favelas, slums and that kind of thing. And what I heard him outline was the need, the programs that Brazilians have for social intervention. And he was recommending in what he said earlier about bringing some programs of a similar kind to an island republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And it struck me that if we could do this in a way that the people, let's call them the social workers then. I know that Dean and Junior and others and Steve and so on will have even Gas with every month, every cent counts, would have an opinion about what Sir Charles says, you know. But if we could only bring those things with a modicum of joy in it, then, in other words, yes, they would provide income, they would provide upliftment, they would provide a decrease in violence and antisocial behavior, yes. But if they could only be done with a modicum of joy, then, you know, that this is something that I like to do, I think that that would make a very big difference in our lives. And in order to do this, I believe that this concept of, and practice in particular, of meditation helps in a big way. Not just in a kind of a by the way, you know, not in an esoteric, above and beyond way, you know, but in a practical, down to earth kind of way. So we left off with a meditation last week. At the end of the session, I think. Yeah, at the end of the session, we left off with a meditation, breathing meditation, and that is where I want to. Well, I can't say begin because I've already begun, but that is where I want to be right now, just to remind you of what I'm talking about, the practicality of these concepts, the practicality of meditation, the infusion of the practice into our daily lives. And in Sering's book, that's the lady that I interviewed, who I mentioned a while ago, who was here. She's one of our teachers. She's a lay person, actually, not a nun, you know. And she has a beautiful book called, if you want to look it up and purchase, it's called Grow Your Own Happiness. Someone sent a copy for me as a gift. And so I have it. And of course, I have gone through a lot of it, you know, it's not the kind of book that I would be reading from end to end, but certainly, you know, thumbing through some pages and perusing it and so on. So, as I said, I ended the program with a breathing meditation. Sering, the teacher, in her book, provides us with 3 kinds of meditation. Breathing meditation, A, B, and C. And the one I ended with is breathing meditation A, which I would like to repeat now, you know, so that we can, I want to ask a question maybe later on or near the end about what we are about to do here now. With breathing meditation A, it is recommended that we focus our attention on the coming and going of our breath. Now, if you are in a position, I know some of you might be at work, some of you are doing housework, preparing meals, etc., etc. You're not seated, and you're not, you know, in a position to be sitting down still and that kind of thing. All right, although sitting down is recommended for breathing meditation. Other kinds of meditation, you can be walking, sitting, anything, walking, standing, lying down. You can do meditation in those positions. But for breathing meditation, it is recommended that you sit in a particular posture. Be that as it may, we are, Buddhism is so flexible that I am sure that we can be mindful of what is being recommended here. Focus your attention on the coming and going of your breath. Don't get lost in conjecture. Am I supposed to breathe like this, or faster, or deeper? Breathe normally without forcing and be aware. The second pointer, count your breaths. Whenever you realize you are following your thoughts, bring your attention back and start counting again. Try to get to 10. If you succeed, unlikely at first, she has in brackets, start counting again. When you bring your attention back, do it in a relaxed way. Don't fight the thoughts, don't follow them, just let them go. And the last pointer for breathing meditation is, at the end, inhale deeply, and as you exhale, come back. Stretch your legs and arms. Stand up slowly with no rush. So that is breathing meditation A. And although I would not embarrass Sir Charles to ask him if he has done it, I would just simply hope that he has made an attempt. It is recommended that you do it 5 minutes for a morning, 5 minutes for an evening. You may choose 6 and 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Or you may choose whatever you want to choose. And if you can keep it regularly at a time, so much the better. Right? The perfect posture is called lotus, but many of us out here in the West cannot do lotus, whether we are young or old, and therefore we sit on chairs. That is also good. Just remember to keep your feet flat on the ground, keep the body upright, but not tense. Have your arms just on the leg. Posture is important also, as we go through the exercise. And as was said in the first pointer there, do not go into conjecture about your breathing. You don't want to have a particular kind of breath. To say, well, look, I'm going to breathe 1, 2, 3 in, 1, 2, 3, 4 in. You simply try to connect with how you breathe naturally. But the thing is to know that when you are breathing in, and to know when you are breathing out. So the Buddha recommended that when you begin this exercise, that you can use the words, breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Sometimes the breath is fast, sometimes the breath is slow, sometimes it is wide, sometimes it is narrow. These things you will discover over time. But what Sir Charles says, and what was said in the reading, in talking about breathing meditation A, which we just did, is that thoughts are going to come in the way of us counting to 10. Surprising as it might sound, you might think, well, yeah, that's easy to do. I'll count, breathing in 1, breathing out 2, breathing in 3, and so on. You'll be shocked to know how many times you may have to come back to 1, and that is because what Sir Charles says is regular for I would say for all of us. What is happening there and why we are going to 10 and why we are saying do not encourage conjecture is because that is how we are living all the time. These thoughts are always bombarding us, always there, an influx, many, many, many thoughts passing through the mind, moment to moment. We will just choose one or two and say, all right, we're going with those, latch on to one or two, and we're going with that kind of thing. But that is normal. What Sir Charles described there is normal, everyday living. Sit down and start, and you will see for yourself where thoughts just keep coming, as though, it's a tsunami. Then you could describe it as a tsunami of thoughts coming at you and disarming you, distracting you. So we are encouraged to sit and count our breaths. For a while, you can use the words breathing in, I know I'm breathing in, breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. After a while, you can collapse those words into simply in and out. As you breathe in, you say the word in, aloud if you wish, but preferably silently as you follow the breath that is coming in and as you follow the breath that is going out. And you sit there for 5 minutes, imagine. If you wish, you can break that down into 3 minutes if you wish, depending on your disposition and your circumstance. You don't want to be in the people's office or, that kind of thing. And, you just kind of going into a silence, like the outer space, and you're above and beyond. and you start breathing in and breathing out, and, your co-workers kind of watching this. Hey, what happened here? Wait. You know what I mean? They want to know what's seeing you on. That kind of way. So, of course, you'll be discreet, you'll be wise, you'll be comfortable, if you can do that before you go to work, in a nice little space at home, that's preferable. If you can do this when you come from work, that would be a nice, in the same space, that would be preferable. And rather than not be doing it in the office or that kind of thing. I mean, this is the time that I've been given to do the program. So I'm just giving you the pointers now. I'm certainly not recommending that you break from anything you are doing. If you can recall them, and I'll be doing the breathing meditation, which is near similar, hopefully at the end of today's session. So it's like that, and I just want to emphasize, it's already 11:26. So I just want to emphasize the connectedness with meditation to daily life. The ways of meditation are not cut off from life, nor do they avoid life. One of the most well-known, popular, and practical examples of meditation connected with the body is called the mindfulness of awareness, of in and out breathing, right? So you have done a bit of that. Now, I can only just touch very briefly on these pointers, and even if I am going to be reading from the book that I have been using mostly, which is called What the Buddha Taught by Walpola Rahula, I will do so, and just remind Sir Charles, if there is anyone calling in, I am prepared to be to take the call. I'm prepared to take the call, answer any questions, listen to any comments that anyone may wish to make.
Well,
So,
let me just let people know that, excuse me, as you mentioned that, Cassie. So, people, you're free to join in the show now at 281-1315. That's 281-1315. You can call, you can WhatsApp call. If you want to send a message, you can also send a message to Cassie via that number. Go
thank
ahead.
you very much, Sir Charles. So, the Buddha told us, lay people, how important it is to improve their economic condition. This does not mean that he approved of hoarding wealth with desire and attachment, which is against his fundamental teaching. Nor did he approve of each and every way of earning one's livelihood. There are certain trades, like the production and sale of armaments, which condemns as evil means of livelihood, as we saw earlier. A man named Digajanu once visited the Buddha and said, "Venerable Sir, we are ordinary laymen, leading the family life with wife and children. Will the Blessed One teach us some doctrines which will be conducive to our happiness in this world and hereafter?" The Buddha tells him that there are 4 things which are conducive to a man's happiness in this world. First, he should be skilled, efficient, earnest, and energetic in whatever profession he is engaged, and he should know it well. All right. Second, he should protect his income, which he has thus earned righteously, with the sweat of his brow. Right. Okay, so he went on to give 2 other things here, but I won't go there in the interest of time. I think that suffices for now. You have just had an election, a change of government, and they have certain proposals. They have stuff in their manifesto. They have their what we call it, a cabinet, and they're about to govern us, hopefully in the best way that they can. Again, here too, if they could do that in a joyful way, something that they like doing, then it is so much more helpful than merely you're just going to work for work's sake. At the end of the day, you go, you take a line. Nothing wrong with that. There's Trinidad and Tobago, that's how it is. You're doing what we normally do. But if you can find a little time to inject into the life that small pause, as it were, that we are calling meditation, you really would see over time a difference in your relationship then to the things you do, maybe to people around you. Yes, Sir Charles, I'm hearing you in the background. You have something?
No, I'm not. Go ahead.
Oh, right. Okay, no problem. I was just you were probably practicing and I was hearing you breathing. I don't know. But anyway, this is how the Buddha looked at life, not at all divorced from regular living, but as a matter of fact, integral meditation and all the other practices that we do as lay people, as monks and nuns, has been integral to life itself. And if we could do that little by little, these programs and so on and so forth, a number of which I have heard callers to various programs on net radio, speak about social programs, ideas for upliftment in our lives, managing our money, trying to develop ourselves, our character, so to speak. That's what it is. I think meditation goes a long way in helping us to do all of these things, without being show off them, without developing a kind of a false pride, as it were, that I'm repeating myself, I'm sure, without turning up our noses, being better and so on and so forth, because we do A, B, or C. You see, let me do this way, and maybe I could go on where I said I would have left over there.
Cassie, let me interrupt you so we can just take the call coming in. Good morning.
Hello, Cassie. I'm calling just to let you know if there are people out here listening, and I do support your program. I could give you a little experience about learning to control your breath, though. It was my personal experience. When I was traversing Buddhist concepts many decades ago, one of the exercises was learning to bring your breathing under consciousness. Now, that's not an easy thing to do, by the way. It took a while, and in the journey, you learn a lot that you can experience if you learn how to control your breathing. Right? You can also alter your body temperature and all kinds of things. But I experienced a danger zone with it, because I reached a point where I so had it under conscious control that at one time I forgot to breathe. And it took an effort to remember to breathe. And then I had a big appreciation for why these things are automated. Because you might have to remain so mindful if you bring it under conscious control like that, to that extent, that you have to pay attention to breathing. So I rolled it back. Took a while, and allowed it to automate, re-automate. But the benefits you got from attempting it, I think, live with me forever. Right? So while I endorse I do endorse breathing control, I'm very careful not to recommend it to people, because if they do it, like how I did it, you could end up in that position that I thought was a really dangerous zone then. Because you're paying attention to so much things that you could end up forgetting, and I did at one time. But just saying that I enjoy what you're sharing, I listen, and I hope to have other people who like me who would call and support. Go on.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Hotep, for your support there. And what you have described here exemplifies why Buddhism does not talk about controlling the breath at all, at any stage, or maybe I should say at beginner stage, maybe in advanced practices that might be necessary. But one first has to calm the mind. And this is what I am dealing with at the present moment, because this is a new program. I'm introducing people to Buddhism and Buddhist concepts, and therefore I will not be recommending any such practice to control the breath. You pointed to the dangers, and that is exactly why we do not do that. What we are doing in these practices, in this, what I've been recommending here, is to calm the mind. In other words, then, to begin to observe the many thoughts that are coming and going, although we don't know that they are coming and going, using the breath to help us to let go of them as they come and go. The word that we use in Sanskrit is shamatha, which means calming the mind. And then we could go on to what we call vipassana, which is seeing things as they really are, which has to do with knowing what sensations are occurring in the body, such as I am bored, I am angry, I am jealous, just to widen it a bit, some sort of sensation. I am in pain, whatever it might be, so that we can use these things, these normal, regular, everyday things, as means by which to ease ourselves into maybe higher practices at a later date. For now, I am certainly not recommending what the experiences that you have done. Personally, I always shy away from such exercises myself. People have tried to even Buddhists have tried to encourage me to things like lucid dreaming and so on. My response is that I would like to sleep as I usually do. I don't want anything interfering with my dreams and my sleep and all of that, so I don't go for those things. I don't go for levitation. I have let's call him an ex-neighbor who recently was telling me about a man called Monroe, who has a YouTube thing where you can levitate out of body experiences and so on. I listened to him carefully. I looked at one of the videos my ex-neighbor recommended. I looked at it, listened to it, watched it, and so on. But these are not the things that Buddhism proposes, especially for beginners, because they can lead to very dangerous things in one's life. One can go into areas then that are not recommended whatsoever. So I'm glad that you spoke of the practice and of the dangers of the practice. And I'm very happy that you are supportive and that there are other folk listening in and that they are not. You have helped then, let me say, Uta, you have helped in putting to rest the idea of control of the breath, because that is one of the things that, one of the ideas then that people have in their minds, when they hear about meditation. They think that, all these grand things are about to happen, that they are going to be able to control their breath and they're going to levitate and, all these kind of grand things. None of that is recommended here by me or will be recommended by any practitioner who knows what it is that the Buddha taught. So let me end, because I'm sure it's coming on to 11:45. Let me end with the breathing meditation B. Now I know I'm just reading this out, and it's going to be difficult to remember unless you ask Sir Charles for a copy of the video, and then you can practice for yourselves. Breathing meditation B is where we end today's session. Focus on the coming and going of your breath. Breathe normally without forcing it. Notice a sensation connected to breathing, perhaps the sensation of air passing through your nostrils, the movement of your chest, the filling and emptying of your lungs. Choose the sensation that makes the most sense to you. When you bring your attention back to this sensation, do it in a relaxed way. Don't fight the thoughts. Don't follow them. Abandon them as soon as you realize they are there, like someone putting down an object they have inadvertently picked up. And lastly, At the end, inhale deeply. As you exhale, come back, stretch your legs and arms, stand up slowly. So let me wish you and yours and all connected to the program today. It's only 11:43, so there are 2 more minutes. Let me wish you all a happy week until we return next Thursday. And should anyone at all, get the video, you can always directly call Sir Charles. I'm sure he'd be very happy to send it to you. Or I think that he will be sending me a copy also. So you can contact me, Kasi, that's Kasi, Senghor, Senghor, excuse me, at 799-8362 on WhatsApp or direct message as you wish to. And I could use what Sir Charles has sent to me to send to you. So let me say thank you very much again, listeners. And thank you in particular, Sir Charles, for affording me this opportunity to connect with fellow Trinbagonians and any other person from anywhere in the world who may be listening to today's program.
Thank you very much, Cassie. Just before we go, let me let people know that the videos of this show and the other shows, you can go up to our YouTube channel, which is New Era TT Radio on YouTube, and you'll be able to browse the shows there. So this particular show will probably be available like about after lunch, but all the other shows previously, you can also get them right there. Cassie, thank you so much.
Yeah, remember, I'm not picking up homework to find out if you did what and who did what and didn't do what.
No.
It will show for itself.
Definitely.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease.
Wake up with the Net Radio Breakfast Show. Rise and shine with Wendell Stevens and Richard Raghubarsing, weekdays, from 6 o'clock to 9 a.m. Start your day feeling good, energized,